Welcome everybody to another edition of Bird Brain 66, along with my co-host. He's actually on the bottom of my screen this time, not on the left or my right, Ryan Bretsch, and along with our good friend in the card world, Tony Schaefer. He's out there too. He's actually on the other side of me somewhere here. We're here to introduce the 1965 top set. It's a beautiful set. It's got 598 total cards in it. And I'll let either Tony or Brian take over about the high numbers because they were discussing that right before we started.
Take it away, Tony.
Sure, I'll let you address the specifics there, Brian, too, about the Cardinals team set. But if I could just take a minute and hijack this as we get going, and send a message to one of your other esteemed guests. I'm a fan of the Bird Brains, of course, and I've watched your other videos. And I've got a message for Norm Sanders out there. Norm's been with you at least twice, I want to say, to do the 71 and 72 sets. And you told him that he had the most viewed video with you guys. I checked that out. It's still true as of today. The 71 video has over 100 views. So I just want to say, Norm, I'm coming for you. Okay.
All right.
So
you throwing it down.
Yeah, yes. That's right. That's right. We officially have a beef. We've got a rivalry. Norm, watch over your shoulder, sleep with one eye open. And definitely don't go down any dark alleys. Okay. So I'm coming
nice.
for you. Definitely.
So what you're saying is now we have to have Norm and Tony on at the same time at some point in time down the road here. Once we get some head-to-heads going on.
That might blow up the internet, actually.
Yeah.
But until then, Norm, I'm coming for you. Your mafia from Dupo, they can't protect you. Your wall of bobblehead minions, they can't protect you. I'm after you. Okay.
Nice. And I love the Dupo rep. He did his homework.
I told you I'm a fan. I watch. So,
Well,
the other good thing about Norm, you're living in one of his favorite all-time Illinois towns. He's been to Champaign a gazillion times to watch basketball, watch the Illini play. So you do have that, ever so small get out of jail free card with him, but he may tear it up now after the throwdown. So
we've had a lot of good times in Champaign for sure. Yeah, look on it favorably. But the 65 set. Okay, so this has an incredibly large high number series that starts at 371, and as Andy mentioned, the set goes up to 598. So over 200 cards that are technically considered high numbers, although most of them aren't that difficult. So whether you're looking to complete, well, Brian will talk about the Cardinals set, but if you're looking to complete the whole set, I wouldn't let that scare you off, right? The degree of difficulty still isn't very high on this set. There are a handful that are short prints, still really don't get that difficult. It's nothing like the 66 or 7 or even the 61 or 2. These are a lot easier and able to be found.
And quick question for you, when you're talking about, I just, my two favorites in the 65 set who aren't Cardinals, Mickey Mantle, of course, and Bob Clemente, because they were disrespecting him and not calling him Berto. There you go.
There it is. Look at that.
Yeah.
Nice. And that's not in that. That's not either Bob or Mickey aren't in that. They're what I can't remember what Clemente or what's Mickey Mantle's number on the back there.
Yeah, he's 350. Clemente is 160 here. I see.
So they're both kind of missing the mark, right? Of being in that. You said it starts at 351.
Yeah, 371 it starts. So, right, they're out there. Mm-hmm.
Right.
But a beautiful set. And that's what I was going to say. Andy took the exact word. This is probably one of my favorite set designs ever. It's just so colorful. The pennants are vivid. So I just think it's an awesome set.
All right. Well, before I give a little bit of background on the Cardinal stuff. So, you're your tagline, Monster Cards. That's where you do all your greatest business and stuff. What is? I mean, I know it's probably a no-brainer. It's the mantle, of course. But what is the one that you seem to? What's the second one you move the most? I guess in the 65 set, you think?
Oh, interesting. Okay. Here's an interesting one too. Outside of the other rookies, right? The rookies usually drive the sets. So we have the Perez, which you're going to have a little note on. We've got Catfish Hunter in that high number series. And I'll let you, yeah, point out who's by your finger too there. Joe Morgan. But there's one other that's kind of snuck up there. This has a Denny McLain rookie in it that's really popular because Denny McLain is out and doing the show circuit now. So you'll see him pop up at a lot of shows. So people are having a lot of those Denny McLain cards autographed. So that's kind of a little surprise gem in there.
Nice, nice. And yeah, on the Tony Perez card, he is one of the high numbers, is one of the short prints. So for Cardinal collectors, it's Dave Ricketts on here, not Dick, his older brother, but this is Dave Ricketts on here. So that's a cool one. And
you're getting too many Dicks in these shows, Brian, because you get Dick Sisler the other time. So
I know. All right, there's go ahead and say the joke. But anyway, so moving on I'll just talk about the Cardinal set overall. Depending on if, and I will ask you this question in a second, Tony, because this is another one of these fun debates that Andy and I definitely agree on. So in our world, the perfect Cardinal team set features about 39 Cardinal cards because it also has cards from the 64 World Series in it. And I'm going to let Andy answer it first because I already know what his take is going to be, and I don't want to steal his thunder. So Andy, when we're putting these World Series teams together like 64, in the 65 set, in the 68 set, and in the 69 set, do you include, like in the 65 set, do you have any of the cards that just say, the Yankees won this game, yes or no? And explain
negative.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that was a question I was going to ask you guys. So this one is not in your not
team set
and not in Brian's
team
set. So you escape a Mantle card here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
Yeah, so it's again, not right or wrong. It's just like it was funny when we connected to start doing the shows, and just before we were doing the shows, we really started talking about our collection. And so Andy and I were really close growing up, and then moved apart because of his job moving away, and then we hit a milestone birthday and we decided to, get back together. And the one common thing that are you still collecting? Yes, I'm still collecting. And then it's funny. It's almost, actually, I don't even know if it's funny or scary or whatever the word is, but how we both think about collecting and how we go about it. And he goes, is this weird to you that I don't collect, the Yankees, in that 65 set? And I'm like, no, by God, no. I totally agree. And then the other question is, do you collect, like leader cards and rookie cards if it only has like one Cardinal on it? Mr. Ricketts, I won't mention his first name, but because I don't want another joke. And ironically, we're of the same mindset. So I got to ask you this question, Tony. When you are dealing with, people who are collecting complete sets, obviously are a different story. But when you have somebody who are collecting only, Yankees, or only like our mutual friend Don, who collects mostly Red Sox stuff, do you find people that also collect the leader cards or not?
I think so. I'm always curious to ask these same questions of collectors. I like to know how they have their cards displayed. I like to know the rules that they've set up for their own collections. And I would say most of them, yes, they do collect the leaders, the multiplayer rookies, because I hear a lot of lamentations like yours, like, oh, I gotta buy it, such and such, because yes. I think at least with the leader cards, you can get away with those pretty easily, right? Because they're pretty inexpensive. There aren't many, unless they have Mantle on them, that are going to run you more than $10.
Well, good. So, to your point, Tony. Here we look at Boyer, but you also get Willie Mays in there. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
And
that
probably for $5 or $7, you pick that
right.
card up. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, and then your other
And
one.
I'm sorry, sorry, Tony. I failed to mention Ron Santo. My bad. I mean,
Thank you.
but
Thank you.
we're talking about Willie Mays, so
This old Cub. Yeah.
I did overlook him. I am sorry.
Well, and for Tony, I'll give him the props. It's a shame that the Hall of Fame had to wait until Ron passed away to put him in the Hall. I mean, that was just a horrible move. I mean, I'm glad he's in the Hall, but I wish the man could have celebrated, given his speech, etc. But here's another great one. Bob Veal and of course Don Drysdale with Bob Gibson.
Yep.
But I mean,
Yep.
hey, when somebody goes, well, you don't have any other players in your collection other than Cardinals. I'm like, no, I've got Don Drysdale right here.
Yeah.
Well, and probably was it is it 60 tops is the Mantle Boyer. So that's probably the most
right.
matchups there for
Like
Cardinals and Yankees.
Yeah.
And this one's for Tony, by the way, Larry Jackson. So there you go.
Former Cardinal.
Yeah. What an overlooked Cub there too. I like looking at the back of the leader cards just to see how the game has evolved over time. These whether it's big win totals or low ERAs or what have you. Yeah, it's
just look at to your point. Just looking at the back of this one with Larry Jackson on it. We had 3 20-game winners. I mean, and then 3 19-game winners.
Oh wow!
Wait, hold on. Maybe there's more than that because I don't have my glasses on. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4 19-game winners. 2 18. I mean, we don't see anything close to that. I mean, it's like a big deal.
We had one. I don't know if it's fluky or not. One 20-game winner last year, and Kyle Wright with the Braves, and there might not have been one in 2021. I don't know if there was a 20-game winner. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then the other stat there, and then I'm going to ask Andy for a couple of his favorite cards from this set, and as we move through to talk Cardinals, and then I'll go back to you, Tony, in just a second to ask you. But the other one that I wish they would, we can certainly look at like one of Gibson's cards. The number that always scares me anymore is the number of complete games. So you might see Gibson with like 15 complete games, and in all of the National League or even in all of the American League, there may not be even 15 combined complete games.
In all of baseball.
In all of baseball. And here's one individual who did it. And oh, by the way, Juan Marichal did it, Drysdale did it, Koufax, it's insanity. But moving on to the set itself, Andy, I'll let you start off because I know you always have your favorites. Talk to me or tell our viewers who are your favorites.
I'm going to start off with Brock because former Cub, obviously, but one of my favorite Brock cards because I just like the look of the card. And like Tony said, they're beautiful cards. I like the inset with the red on the banner. And they just did a really good job. I mean, Topps had some runs where they did some really great jobs with cards, and they've had some runs where it's been so-so. But really love the card. And they got some cool facts, little cartoons on the back of these things that are really neat too. Because the one thing I even told my wife about this, I said it's like reading history, kind of like reading a baseball history book. If you really take the time to go through and read through the back of your cards when you have them in albums and go back through some of the seasons that you remember growing up as a kid. But one of my other ones, because I always mention this guy, is Mr. Red Shanks, the manager.
There you go, another high number, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so he's the manager for how many decades? I mean, with the Cardinals. So it's pretty impressive the run that he had. Back and forth, coming back into the mix even in 1990. So it's pretty impressive by Red. And I did want to point this particular individual out because I think he's such an overlooked player, Bill White. And he's actually the home run leader in 65 for the Cardinals. And also National League president. So he had a great run in baseball. And I think he should probably be in the Hall of Fame. Another one of my Hall of Fame guys for the Cardinals. So and of course, there's a Euchre card in there, so you got to mention Euchre.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, he's a great seller in every set that he's in, and another high number in this set too. Yeah, I don't even have one to show off. They always sell really quickly.
I guess he's a high number 3 years in a row. Is that correct? Is that right?
The 64 and 5 for sure.
Or maybe not the 66 then.
And I don't know. He's not a high number in 66.
There it is.
There you go. You've got one handy there.
What's different about this card, though?
Yeah, he's pulling a prank. Do you know Andy?
Yeah, he's batting the wrong way. Yeah.
Yeah, lefty.
But you know, would have been a better card would have been him holding with the tuba. We need the tuba.
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
I'm still on that thing. I want to see that card.
So before I turn it over to Tony, and I'll come back to you, Andy, to pick up a few more, some of your other favorites in this set, but this one is the one that, talking about talking smack with Norm, this drives him absolutely crazy that the Cardinals, yeah. So we picked him up, I think it was as a free agent signing, and he came up during the 64 season, mostly in relief, did get a handful of starts. He does get a World Series ring, because he played enough games with the Cardinals, although he didn't appear in the World Series in 64. And then the Cardinals decided, he doesn't make the team in 65 coming out of spring training, and then they trade him to the Astros, and then obviously he goes on to his great success with the Orioles. But anyway, that one rubs a lot of Cardinal fans the wrong way, how quickly we gave up on him. And the reason why he had so much success in relief is he developed a screwball, and he was still trying to, get the mechanics of that and the touch in spring training going into 65, and just didn't do it. And the Cardinals lost interest in him and shipped him off. So I know that you've got many other cards to talk about, Tony. Who are some of your personal favorites from that set, or just who are some of the cards that move, Mr. Monster Card, who moves really quickly in this set?
All right, I've got a handful here. There goes my Shade East. So, we have some other guys kind of in that high number series there. There are Boog and Mel Stoudemire, right? And that's funny. I've just purchased a big collection of these, and I didn't even realize Cuellar was on the Cardinals. So it surprised me to see him there. Here are a couple of the lesser rookies in there. I mentioned McLean, but we've also got El Tiante in there, his rookie. Which
I used to have that card.
What's that?
I said I used to have that card. I think I may have been back in the day when you and I were doing a lot of when I was trading my collection to focus only on Cardinals. I probably traded you a Tiant card. That was always one of my favorite ones, just because I loved his windup as a kid.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah.
So random question here to both of you, because I look at that. That's
I think just when you kind of fan them out though, and look at the colors, I think that's awesome just to see how bold they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wiffle ball days, just show of hands, how many at playing wiffle ball went through the whole Louis Tiant just to go through his delivery at least a couple of times facing, even though you couldn't do it, you probably threw a gopher pitch. But Tony, did you do that?
Well, close. I would do a Juan Marichal.
No.
So that enormous leg kick was always fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Andy?
Of course.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of not as winds up in this set, but a lot of us were in the St. Louis region were the Mad Hungarian Alverboski, when we were playing wiffle ball.
Yeah. That and
the pouting on the mound.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one last one too, even though he's not in the 65 set, is everybody had to do the Fernando Valenzuela, where you looked up at the
no
sky.
look.
Yeah, that was always pretty cool. So go ahead.
The elephant in the room, Brian, for the Cardinals set. Go ahead and bring it up, because there's a reason I want you to go ahead and show it.
Well, show it, because I didn't have enough time to pull all of mine out of the sleeves. So, go ahead and grab it and show it if you have it handy.
Well, the reason because I didn't grab it out of my PSA box, so I don't have it in front of me either. But
okay,
Tony, I know Tony has it.
I don't have one right now. No.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
I have a bunch of these because I've recently. Oh, there we go.
Look at that.
Just for fun, just an auxiliary there. we've got one of these Topps shenanigans where they've put a guy as a rookie, 2 years in a row. So your counterpart there, Fritz, is on a 64 also.
Very nice. That's a good shape, Brian.
Yeah, I love this.
The reason,
Again,
just for new collectors, I wanted you to bring that up because I want people to be aware of things out there, because I just have this just because I got it back when this came out. But does this look similar to the card that you just pulled up?
Is that out of a magazine or the price guide?
Out of a magazine. Yeah. So I just want new collectors to be aware of that, because a lot of times folks will put sellers. There's some sellers out there that aren't above board and put these out as rookie cards, and then people pick these up and pay way too much for a card that probably costs you a couple bucks, or even if that. So I just want people to be aware of that.
Yeah. Who are some of your other favorites? And then I'll show another one of mine from.
One of mine is Gibson, obviously. And if I remember right, I'm thinking he's a 20 game winner that year. So speaking of the 20 game winners, I think he was the only one that the Cardinals had. And just for the Cubs fans out there, Larry Jackson didn't have 24, but he had 14 that year. I do know that. And one of my other favorite, I have a lot of favorites in this set, so it's hard to pick them all. But Mike Shannon, of course, because he's a longtime broadcaster. So that's where most of the kids our age, Brian and I's age, knew Mike Shannon from was being a broadcaster, not necessarily a ball player.
Right.
We knew that he was a ball player, but never, we weren't old enough to ever watch him actually play. So I don't want to steal anybody else's time, because, like I said, there's so many. They have Dick Groat. I mean, there's so many great players in this set overall.
So this is my guy, and people who know me well know that I collect Koufax, and that's another great looking Koufax card, of course.
So I got to ask you this question, Tony. You just showed something on your Instagram post, so go ahead and tell everybody how to follow you on Instagram. But I tell Andy about your Koufax bat that you just showed on your Instagram post.
Yeah, credit to REA Auctions that just had one, and a Cooperstown bat, and it's got a little Dodgers notation there, dem bombs, and some of the years that they won, but autographed by Koufax. So I have plenty of other Koufax autographs, but that's the first bat that I was able to add to my collection. So got a spot for that already picked out. So it'll go on display with some of my other Koufax items.
Oh, and I just want to let everybody be aware there may be a little glitch in the middle of our show there, and I just picked up word that it might have been Norm Sanders that caused that. So
yeah, he's trying to sabotage us, I know, but don't let it deter you from watching this over and over again, actually.
Correct.
Very good. Well, the reason why I'm going to show him one more time, the reason why I'm doing that is, we're wrapping up March, getting into the Final Four, and Mr. Groat was quite the hoopster for Duke, and actually was a two-time All-American for Duke, and chose baseball over playing potentially in the NBA. So really cool. So Andy, I'll give you another one to show, and then I'll turn it back over to. I love the set too. I think it's beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I got one here. I'm gonna grab real quick, because one of my dad's favorites, his other favorites, Mr. Javier.
AIDS, yeah.
I told that story a couple times probably, but I'll tell it again. My mom and dad had a fight what my name was going to be when I was born. So it was between Julian Javier or Orlando Cepeda. And luckily I didn't wind up with either, because I'd have probably got clobbered at school. So not that there's anything wrong with those names, but growing up where we grew up, I'd have probably got clobbered at school if I'd had either one of those names. But both great ball players. Love them both. My dad was very fond of both of them. So I thought I'd mention that.
Cool. So I was at a show recently, and a customer was looking at a 65 Banks, and I also kind of interjected how much I like the 65 set. And he said, "Oh, I hate that Banks card." So I'm going to show it now. I hope that shows up okay. There's a little bit of glare, but I shipped this card this morning. It just sold, but I knew we would be recording, and I wanted to snap a quick picture of it. He said, all you can see is the side of his face, and there's just so much face on that card. And I wish he wouldn't have said anything, because I agree with him. It's not the most flattering card of Banks out there.
Well, speaking of that, Tony, in the insert, anybody recognize these because it's the side of somebody's face.
Great, yeah.
So they
so long
the inserts had nothing but sides of people's faces.
Yeah, and there's 4 of those
embossed.
Some embossed. I don't have any of the iron-on transfers that were inserted in packs, but I do have, some of the embossed with me. And the Cardinals are really represented. There you go. Cardinals are really well represented in that embossed set.
Yeah.
And in the transfer set as well.
Okay.
Here's one other one that I wanted to show real quickly, and then I'll go back over to you, Tony. So this guy has always marveled me. I've been reading lots of different Cardinal books here and there, rereading some of them, and just his presence with the 64 team was pretty incredible, because he was played for the 60 World Series Pittsburgh Pirates, then comes over to the Cardinals, and he wins one in 64 with the Cardinals as a player, and then goes on to have a great coaching career and picks up a 3rd World Series title as a coach for the 79 Pirates. So just if you get a chance sometime, look up Bob's presence in the Cardinal dugout. He, and obviously Dick Groat being a previous World Series champ as well with the Pirates.
Yeah. Okay, so he's kind of like the Robert Ory of the MLB, right? He bounced around and picked up rings everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah. That's a great one.
Well, I was going to mention how unflattering a lot of these embossed cards are, and this one particularly stuck out to me. If you can get a good view of it, I don't. He looks kind of like one of the old, Greek or Roman statues with those eyes so deeply inset, or a mummy that you'd find at Pompeii. It's almost to the point of being scary. But I don't think that they knocked out of the park either of those insert sets, because the little scribbly outline on the iron-on transfers isn't flattering. The lack of detail on the embossed cards kind of stinks. So as well as they did on the base set, they should have maybe just stopped there for the year.
For the sake of time, Andy, I'll let you mention 1 or 2 more cards, and then we should get ready to wrap it up.
Well, instead of mentioning a card, since I went over a bunch of cards, I don't have a Van Halen reference, because I always like to throw one of those in there, so that I don't have one obviously for 65. But the Cards and Cubs, because Tony was on here, they were similar in finishing the season. Cards were 7th and the Cubs were 8th that particular year, with an 80 and 81 record for the Cardinals and a 72 and 90 for the Cubs. So the Cardinals were still better, but no, just but
I appreciate that.
The highlight, just for the Cubs fans, Brock had 63 stolen bases that year. Just I mentioned that. So
okay, yeah, true.
I already mentioned. Oh, but Bill White had 24, but Billy Williams had 34 home runs that year. So, and there you go, Mr. Maris.
Happier days for this guy then, before he came over to the to the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm reading the great book 1964. Tony, have you ever read that?
I haven't read 64. Is that a Halberstam book? He kind of the 41, of course, because in addition to Koufax, I'm partial to Ted Williams, and of course think that he got hosed that season, not winning the MVP. But yeah, what a great writer, and yeah, I'd like to pick that one up sometime.
Well, just because you showed Maris and just what all the stuff that he was going through in 64, He's starting to have a little aches and pains here and there, and probably should have, took himself out, but nobody took themselves out back then. And then, he gets obviously rejuvenated in his career. It's a breath of fresh air to finish, winning this series in 67. He wanted to retire, and they asked him not to play one more season. And it's a shame he couldn't go out with another ring in 68, but it is what it is. So, anyway, we thank all of you guys who are watching this, including Norm, who I'm hoping watches it multiple times to help get this show up. And so before we close, Tony, I will let you tell everybody where they can find Monster Cards, as always.
All right, I appreciate it. Instead of rambling through again, I'm gonna just let you pause here and just make sure that if you follow me, you're not Norm. No Norms allowed. I'm gonna block you if you follow me. And I think just even to be safe, that people should probably avoid watching Cheers reruns too. Just
that's good. Good call back on Cheers there. I like that.
Yes. Yep. Very good. All righty. Well, again, everybody, we thank you a bunch. Always love having you on, Tony. Always great insight. So with that, I will get ready to wrap it up. Thanks again to Tony Schaefer of Monster Cards. I don't even remember now, Tony, how long we've known each other. Probably since around 2010, 2011. I love the transactions that we have made over the years and continue to make. So thank you for that. And of course, I got to thank my co-host, Andy T. We've been off and on with the collecting over the years. This has reconnected us. So we just absolutely have a blast doing this. Yep. So again, we want to just thank you very much for joining us. And on that note, thanks everybody.
Yep. Thanks.
Thanks to